Hi everyone, welcome to Best Recipes with Sharon. This video is all about tomatoes. So whether you have an abundance of tomatoes from your garden or you have to stop by the market and pick some up, this recipe is really an awesome recipe to have on hand, and you can make your own tomato paste, your own stewed tomatoes, and also you can make your own red sauce, which is like a marinara sauce. It's quite authentic, and I think you'll really enjoy these. So stay tuned and we'll do this together. Tomato paste is quite easy to make. You do start out with quite a few tomatoes and then end up with a little bit of sauce because you have to boil it down. And by the time that you do the reducing and then get rid of the skin and the seeds, you end up with your tomato paste that's nice and thick and ready to use in any recipe. So I'm starting with a blender full of Roma tomatoes, and all you do is wash them and throw them in whole. And then I blend them until they're liquid like this and strain them into a slow cooker. And I'll take a spoon and stir it around like this just to help it to sieve through. Now you'll have tomato juice in the slow cooker, and that's what you'll use to boil down. And just discard the seeds and the skins. Then turn the slow cooker on high, and I let that sit all day and just stir it once in a while and let it just keep reducing. After about 8 hours or so, it's thickened up some, but not thick enough, so I have removed it from the slow cooker, put it in a pot, and finished it off on top of the stove. Have to stir it and stay with it all the time when you have it on the stove though. You don't want to burn it, but it's boiled down now and thickened up quite nicely, and I can just take and put that in a little container and put that in the fridge to cool off. And as it cools off, it'll thicken up even more. So there you have it. That's as easy it is to make tomato paste. And it's really used in a lot of recipes, so if you have a lot of tomatoes, a good way to use them up. And it freezes really well until you're ready to use it. Now let's do some stewed tomatoes. Once again, I'm using Roma tomatoes, and I'm pouring hot water over them so that I can peel them easier. So be careful because they're in hot water that you don't burn yourself. But just take each tomato and peel the skin off like this. Depends on the size of the tomatoes that you have, but you'll need about 4 cups of the tomatoes once they're chopped. Then you take your tomatoes and place them in a microwavable dish and add 4 generous tablespoons of sugar to this. Next, add 2 tablespoons of butter. And then sprinkle it with some salt and pepper and half a cup of cold water. 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. And I take a large spoon and stir that together really well. And then I add 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. This makes all the difference in the flavor. Then take the large spoon and stir that in until it's really well combined. Then cover it with a lid and place it in the microwave for about 6 minutes. And that's it. You have stewed tomatoes. And the purpose of this recipe is to make them up fresh for when you need them. But you can put them in a jar and store them in the fridge for a few days. Then you have it for when you want to make your favorite recipes that call for stewed tomatoes. Or you can just take and eat them like they are if you wanted to. This recipe is really quite tasty. Now on to making Marinara Red Sauce. This sauce is quite special and tasty. It has quite an authentic Italian taste to it. And this is a very easy homemade red sauce. And you can serve it with your favorite pasta or put it on the base of your pizza, and you'll be quite impressed with the flavor. So a little bit of prep time and we'll get started. Alright, so start by adding 4 cups of stewed tomatoes to your food processor. Now, I'm using the ones that I made homemade, but you can buy them in the can as well. Then I add 12 ounces of tomato paste. Once again, I'm using my homemade tomato paste, but you can get that in a can as well. Next, add about 7 tablespoons of dried parsley. And if you're lucky enough to have fresh parsley grown in your garden, go ahead and chop it finely and use that. Now add 2 cloves of minced or finely chopped garlic. Then take a large pot and add 10 generous tablespoons of olive oil. Then turn on the heat to about medium, and then you add 2/3 of a cup of finely diced sweet onion to this olive oil and keep it simmering for about 2 minutes. While you're waiting for this, go back to the blender and add 2 teaspoons of dried oregano. Then put the lid on the blender and mix that together until it's really well combined. And I'll let mine run for a couple of minutes. Then you add the blended tomato sauce to the sautéed onions. Now take a large spoon and mix that together. Now this next ingredient makes all the difference in the flavor. Add 1 cup of white wine. So then just add the white wine to the sauce and stir it to mix it in thoroughly. Now turn this on over medium heat and let it simmer for about 30 minutes, stirring it occasionally. And we still need to add a little bit of pepper, so a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, and add about 2 teaspoons of salt. And let it continue to simmer, stirring it occasionally until it starts to boil down and reduce. You'll notice it start to thicken up a bit. Now you can take and use this sauce right away in your favorite recipe, or you can store it in a mason jar in the fridge for a few days. Now I will show you a few meal ideas that I use this red sauce for. So boil up some spaghetti, cut up a few fresh carrots, a few bell peppers, and slice some carrots into some olive oil in a pan. Start to stir fry them a little bit and add a little bit of onion, this is a sweet onion, and the bell peppers. Let that saute for a while, just until it's slightly tender. Add that on top of your spaghetti. Pour some sauce over the top and add a little bit of crispy chicken. What a meal. That's really tasty. And it's a bit of an authentic dish that you can make at home yourself. And it's quite impressive. This same sauce can be used for on your pizza. And it would also be known as red sauce. It has such a unique flavor when it's blended well with the tomatoes and all the spices and the olive oil and the wine. It really makes for an awesome flavor. So get your hands on some tomatoes and try making these sauces. I'm sure that you'll find it'll be well worth its time. It is quick and easy to make, and it's proportioned well so that it's made for your meal size. But if you needed more, it's easily doubled as well. Now, no matter which recipe you want to do, or whether you want to do all of these, the tomato paste, the stewed tomatoes, and the red sauce, it's helpful to have it made up ahead, and you can use it in any dish as you need it. So I hope you get some tomatoes and try these. And until next time, happy eating.